Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, that calls me from a world of care, and bids me at my Father's throne make all my wants and wishes known. In seasons of distress and grief, my soul has often found relief, and oft escaped the tempter's snare by thy return, sweet hour of prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, the joy I feel, the bliss I share, of those whose anxious spirits burn with strong desires for thy return. With such I hasten to the place where God my Savior shows his face, and gladly take my station there, and wait for thee, sweet hour of prayer. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, thy wings shall my petition bear, to him whose truth and faithfulness engage the waiting soul to bless. And since he bids me seek his face, believe his word and trust his grace, I'll cast on him my every care, and wait for thee, sweet hour of prayer.
O God, we come to worship you. O God, we come to praise your name. O God, we come to learn your word. O God, we sing our praise to you. O God, we come to worship you. O God, we come to praise your name. O God, we come to learn your word. O God, we sing our praise to you. O God, you are the only God. O God, we know we are the church. We gather here in Jesus' name. O God, we give our thanks to you. O God, we come to worship you. O God, we come to worship you.
Great is the Lord, he is holy and just. By his power we trust in his love. Great is the Lord, he is faithful and true. By his mercy he proves his love. Great is the Lord and worthy of glory. Great is the Lord and worthy of praise. Great is the Lord, now lift up your voice. Now lift up your voice. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord, he is holy and just. By his power we trust in his love. Great is the Lord, he is faithful and true. By his mercy he proves his love. Great is the Lord and worthy of glory. Great is the Lord and worthy of praise. Great is the Lord, now lift up your voice. Now lift up your voice. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. Great are you, Lord, and worthy of glory. Great are you, Lord, and worthy of praise. Great are you, Lord, I lift up my voice. I lift up my voice. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. my soul, washes whiter than snow. Faithful love calms each fear, reaches down, dries each tear, holds my hand when I can't stand on my own. Faithful love from above came to earth to show the Father's love, and I'll never be the same, for I've seen faithful love face to face, and Jesus is his name. Faithful love is a friend just when hope seems to end. Welcome face, sweet embrace, tender touch filled with grace. Faithful love, endless power, living flame, Spirit's fire, burning bright in the night, guiding my way. Faithful love from above came to earth to show the Father's love, and I'll never be the same, for I've seen faithful love face to face, and Jesus is his name. For I've seen faithful love face to face, and Jesus is his name.
Somewhere the sun is shining, somewhere the songbirds dwell. Hushed in thy sad repining, God lives and all is
Right. Well, as you think about this study, the fruit of the Spirit, what's anything stand out for you that's been helpful, been encouraging? What any particular ones that you really not just necessarily the teacher and what he taught, but just kind of the ideas that as we develop and cultivate the fruit that the Spirit grows in us, what anything that you've enjoyed or appreciated or been reminded of, the importance of maybe some of this or one of these. Maybe you think, I've got some work to do.
Well, I had a doctor that was taking a long time getting to me one day.
Okay.
And she came in and she said, "Thank you for your patience."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm studying this." And I said, "It works."
Yeah.
I think one of the things, Matt had an old dictionary that he had the definition of the words and then had a newer one.
Mhm.
I think it's interesting how the words have changed meaning over the years.
Yeah. They do. They certainly do have to be, updated to our current terminologies and understandings. As you think about this, and you think about, of course, the metaphor of fruit. First of all, it's singular. You often hear people, the fruits of the Spirit, and I understand what they're, we understand that's not the time, the place to have that discussion. Well, actually, it's singular, not plural, but it is. This isn't a matter of, well, I'm not so good with patience, so that's just not in my development plan or self-control. But I'm really good in love, and I've got a lot of joy, and so we have to allow the fruit of His Spirit, that this is what it will look like. It'll be seen in each of these individual characteristics in our life. And so, it's fruit. But I want you to think about fruit. I want to kind of think a couple of things here this morning as we kind of, maybe put a bow on this a little bit here. Think about how fruit is grown. And we're going to talk about how healthy fruit, just some practical things at the end of class here. But think about the process and just the whole idea of how much of it's on us and how much of it's outside, right? Influence. We've got a part. If you're going to have a garden, right? You've got to do what? You got to work it. What do you got to do to the ground first? Get it prepared, right? Till it, get the soil ready, pull out the what? Weeds, rocks, uncover what is that underneath there, right? You ever be careful digging around, especially out in the country, right? You come uncover something that maybe you shouldn't have uncovered. But whatever it is, rocks, weeds, you've got to cultivate, and then you've got to plant, and then you've got to water. But there's still a lot that's outside of our control. That process of the sun, right, and the rain, photosynthesis, that whole, I don't have anything to do with that. So in that sense, it's cooperative, but, all I can do is produce an environment where fruit now can grow in me. It's not all on me. It is the fruit of the Spirit, right? Similar to the armor of God. It's not my armor, it's the armor of God. Put on the what? Not the armor of Rob, not the armor of Ron, but the armor of God. It's His armor. Those are His qualities and characteristics. And He's perfect in all those, and so He wants those to be reflected in us. And so it's what we are really is we're gardeners. And that we've got to provide an environment to where the fruit can grow. But we don't have anything to do with that big, huge gas ball sun that's, I don't know how far it is away. Someone knows probably the science of that, the map, but it's a long ways away. And I don't have anything to do with cloud coverage. It seemed like for a while here we were like, we're going to get some rain, right? In the last few weeks, it's been like, we're going to see any rain. We'd get a little sprinkle, just barely. And and so there's so much we can do, but then there's so much that's out of our hands to do. And we're going to come back to that as we talk about that process of that in just a moment. But fruit, it's a metaphor for God's part, but also our part that will grow in us. There are things that I just simply can't worry about, that are out of my control, that are outside of myself, and I've got to trust that God is working in me to cultivate and grow as I provide that environment. Now, before you get to the fruit, and we'll come back to walk here in just a moment when we think fruit and walk, but Paul first talked about another kind of walk, another kind of life you can live. There in Galatians 5, look at that again. And he said, as he tells us to walk in the Spirit, by the Spirit, not gratify the desires of the flesh, he says, there's another way to live, another way to walk, another way to be controlled. And it's by the flesh. Now, we live in the flesh. Our spirit and souls in the Lord have been saved. We've been cleansed, washed. We've been added to the church. We received the Holy Spirit, but we haven't been redeemed in our bodies. You still have this flesh. And that's the literal word there. We still are dragging around these unredeemed bodies. And so it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a struggle. And he talks about that. But yet I can choose which world I'm going to live in, so to speak. There's always going to be that, oh, I think I just turned it off. If we go back. There's always going to be this struggle. We're in the spirit, but we're also in the flesh. And I don't know if you have noticed or not in your life, but particularly these 9 qualities, characteristics of the fruit of the Spirit, they're not always easy. Ron talked about patience. Well, is that always easy? When someone is being difficult, rude, maybe being ugly, cuts in front, was whatever. I mean, after a few seconds or maybe a minute, what do we start feeling sometimes in our body boiling up? Right? And what are we tempted to want to say or do? Right? Maybe say something. Maybe jump in there. And we let our anger, right? We're no longer long-suffering. We're no longer being patient. We're now possibly going to be controlled by these acts of the flesh, these works of the flesh. And that's where it gets hard. He mentions these. Kind of talks about them here in different groups, but there's the sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery. These are sensual, fleshly, sexual, whatever my flesh, whatever my sensual desires want. I give myself to. Don't tell yourself no. Don't deny yourself. Well, how does that fit into the culture and the world right now? Does the world encourage that kind of thinking, that lifestyle? Yeah, do what feels good. Do you. Don't deny you. Don't, if it feels good, if it feels right. And this is the way so many have lived, not just in modern times that we see, but throughout human history. But we certainly see it today in all its forms, and it's so easy now to gratify the desires and sexual and debauchery and these things that he talks about here. Because things are so readily available. Impurity. You can watch, you can see it. The stuff people on their phones, you'll be in the store and someone is watching a TikTok video and you'll hear language and you're, what? What is that? And here's what's worse. You turn around, there's a 10-year-old watching it. It's not an adult. It's the parents getting the groceries. The kid's watching it on the phone. And you're hearing language and stuff going, what are they watching? Right? It's just at our fingertips. Sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery. And when we think it's just harmless, we buy into the lie because it's not harmless. And then he talks about the next one there is, he talks about debauchery or drunkenness. Some translations will say drunkenness or orgies. These were often rituals to the gods. that would be associated with that. But we know that drunkenness, being controlled by alcohol, is still a problem today because we have perfected it. We have manufactured it in such a way now that alcohol is so readily available, and drinking and social drinking and all of this, and we may not be going down to the temples and taking part in these drunken festivals and these sort of things, but try going to a concert and watching, how many times are they going to go get alcohol? They don't even watch the show. It's just back and forth to the beer stand or to the, and now we got to have, mimosas at Cracker Barrel because people need alcohol at 10 a.m. apparently, and they started that and other places, and it's a huge industry, and for the Christian, we're not to be controlled by those things. I'm not saying it's a sin to have a drink. That's not the point. But we're not being led or controlled by that because it alters the mind. And so we're not to be controlled by that. And so, yeah, it's very much part of it. He then talks about, look at these others here real quickly. Idolatry and witchcraft. You say, whew, I don't have to worry about that one. Well, what do I give my allegiance to, my loyalty to? We may not go down and worship Artemis or, the gods, Diana, or, these gods that the Greeks and the Romans adapted, pretty much just borrowed and renamed, and go down to that physical temple. But there's a lot of alliances and allegiances that we give our hearts and lives to. And so who has the place in my heart is number one. Is it the Lord or is it my job? Is it the Lord or is it my recreation? Is it the Lord or is it the ball games? I have some friends that we know and Christians, and they were posting the pictures down at the ball field, and it's just it's day and night. It's 8 a.m. It's 9 p.m. It's constant, and you have to see the loyalty. There was a great story. I don't know if you saw one of the schools in Oklahoma City. The girls thought they won the basketball championship. Did you hear about this? See that story? The coach is OC. He's a member of the church.
They gave him an award at the
Yeah, they gave him a few weeks ago, gave him the award. Because he went back and saw, hey, that score's not right. We were behind. And he moment by moment, frame by frame, he went and watched the video and added up every point. And sure enough, they were not ahead. They should have been 1 point back and not have won the game. And so he told his players, hey, but at a win at all costs, that's people's allegiance and loyalty is to their jobs fully, as far as above everything else, their money, their, whatever it might be. And so there are a lot of things that can vie for our idols of our heart. And so he talks about that. And then, of course, these kind of personal, relational breakdown. He talks about jealousy, discord, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, envy, drunkenness, and orgies. Again, these kind of interpersonal relationships often, division that happens, hatred that forms between not just unbelievers. Now, this isn't just for those bad unbelievers, but you've seen it among Christians that fuss and fight and divide and dissensions. And so he says, we're not controlled by these things. This is not how we're walking. We used to walk that way and live according to those desires, but now we have, of course, in Christ we've crucified that. And so, of course, he says in verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit, in contrast. Again, we're always going to have this struggle of the flesh with our spirit, but we are putting away. We're cultivating something else in our heart and our lives. And of course, love. Now, love is always supreme. So in the list of the Bible, when you read these lists, the names of the apostles, these are not just, we'll start with Peter. Peter's first in the list. That's for a reason. And so anytime you see things like this, you want to notice the order, love. You always want to look at the first and the last. And so love is the greatest, we know, Paul said. And yet love is not an emotion. Love at its heart is an action. What's that action? What's love cause us to do with our action? What do we got to put ahead of?
All those other things he just lists.
Right? And when we act with someone else, what do we got to? Whose needs have to go first? Yeah, theirs. I've got to seek their what? Their good, their highest good. What's best for them? And that may come at a cost or an expense to me. And so love. And that's what he talks about. He talks about joy and peace. You know, these are internal. You don't have joy and peace based on outward external circumstances and peace, because, you know, you can have a whole lifetime and nothing's ever going to go right sometimes. Your health, your job, your family, you're going to have enemies against you. And so it's not a peace and joy that's based on the external circumstances. It's based on some other realities. What do we have in Jesus? We have salvation. We have hope. We have forgiveness. And so that gives me joy. That gives me peace in the middle of storms, that Christ is with me and that I have the hope of heaven. And so we're not based our experiences there on our reaction just on the external forces that come in our life. That doesn't mean that we have to like it. We're not talking about being sad and crying and grieving and being angry when things bad happen to us, but we know we have something else as our identity. And then he talks about patience and kindness and goodness. This gets back to these relational terms. Again, what we're tempted to do when somebody's rude or someone's being difficult in the office or the job or with our kids or our spouse, we want to just let them have it, don't we? You are the dumbest. Why? You are the most. I can't believe every time you just make my life, but we just want to let them have it. And we want to be hard, and we want to be, even cruel at times. He'll talk about kindness here in just a minute, but, and boy, for a moment, this might feel, all right, I just told them off. But it doesn't feel good after you think about it. How many people storm out of meetings, jobs, personal conversation, situations with family, friends, neighbors? How many people just let someone have it, say something, do something, irrational, in anger, and then a few hours later they realize, what? That didn't go what? I shouldn't have. I'm going to have to go back and what? Apologize, right? And sometimes those consequences are, in some situations, they're too late. I mean, you can't just erase what you said or did in that moment. That can be in a job situation, that can be in family, personal relationships, and so we got to have that. He talks about faithfulness. Being a source of stability. Jesus is the example of that, and so we are to be faithful and committed no matter what. Then gentleness, that kind of goes with those other, kindness, goodness. This is about being not harsh. And then, of course, he ends with self-control. Self-control is the last one. It's kind of the only negative, has some negative connotation to it. but it's key. It kind of holds these all together. When I don't want to have love, when I don't want to have peace and patience and kindness, when I want to lash out, when I want to say something, when I want to act and do in a way, the self-control will what? It'll kind of anchor me. It'll ground me. I know you want to say it, but don't. Now, have you ever caught yourself that that's what you, don't say it? You're already thinking, you're already telling yourself, well, that should right there be an indication of what? Don't. Because you, even though you're telling yourself that, what are you about ready to do? A lot of times. You're telling yourself, don't do it, don't say it. But what are you feeling like you're about ready to do and you want to do? You want to say it anyway. But we should listen to that. And I believe that's, as a Christian, if we're cultivating the Spirit in us, that's the Spirit. Don't say it, don't do it. Self-control. Don't, and so it's that anchor that holds it kind of these together often. Yeah, Kathy?
Well, 1 Peter 2:20 says, "For what credit is it if when you are beaten for your faults you take it patiently? But when you do good and suffer, if you take it patiently, this is commendable before God." And then in 3:17 he says, "For it is better if it is the will of God to suffer for doing good than for doing evil."
Yeah, absolutely. And so he says here, as he describes these, of course, he says, we don't live by that. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. I like that language there, that in step with the Spirit. Keep up with. And I like that idea because God's not going to outrun us. God's not going to... Have you ever tried to, have you ever dog training on a leash, right? What? Can that be a challenge sometimes when you get a dog, a puppy, and he wants to what? Take off. And there are ways and tricks and things you can learn. They'll teach you at dog training schools on that leash to what? Not let him. He wants to take off and what? What is that leash going to do? He's going to, they'll about flip over, fall over, Anytime he wants to get a little further, that leash will, and you're training that dog to what? Walk in step with me. Keep, not run ahead, not go crazy. But, and it's the same thing. You ever tried to walk with someone? I've been accused of that by people who think I walk too fast. You ever try to keep up with someone, walking with someone? And it's like, you feel like you're sprinting, and they're just like, we got Ron here with his big old long legs, and he takes a couple of steps, and he's already almost made a first down on the football field, right? Well, but you don't have to have long legs. You can be short and go, speedy walker. And hey, slow down. Slow down. I can't keep up with you. We did a lot of walking on our trip to Europe last summer, and it was important that we stay together. They even had the little, sticks that they'd hold up, flags, and you got a group of 15, 20, 25 people walking through Paris. It's easy to get off course, to get lost, to lose someone. And so that's the Holy Spirit. He wants us to walk with Him, and He's not going to outrun us. And so we talk about that. Now, when you think about growing fruit, healthy fruit, it's a couple of these come from Tim Keller's book, Galatians in You, and I thought a couple of these were really good. These are familiar ideas to us in general, but growth is gradual, right? So you plant the seed, potatoes, corn, green beans, whatever it is, whatever fruit, and you water it maybe, and you go to bed that night, and you get up the next morning, and you run out there, and you're ready to enjoy, right, some apples, some oranges. not how it works. You go back and do it again next day, you come out there, still nothing. But eventually you start to see what? What starts to sprout up? Yeah. And isn't that cool? When you go, hey, you might even show, hey, look here, I got a little, you see signs of growth. Growth is gradual. Think about our lives, our children, our grandchildren. I mean, we're coming up on the graduation season now. It's hard to believe it. It's hard to believe it. Thinking about these college kids, young people we've got in our church have been helping, and we've got some new ones this morning we're excited to meet and introduce you to. In a few weeks, it's over. Their school's out, end of May. I mean, Mackenzie graduates first Saturday in May at Harding. And you'll look back and you'll see when they were born, because they like to do that at graduation and parties. Oh, here's when they were born, and here's when they were going in kindergarten, and here when they were in middle school, here's when they got their driver's license and prom. And it's a gradual process. And that's how we have to remember it is with this as well. What can help with that? What helps us? What did we already say about planting fruit and little crops in the ground? It's encouraging when you start to see what, though? Yeah, you see growth. And you say, hey, my kid is now walking. My grandkid is now walking. They're now riding a bike. They're tying their shoes. You see the growth. And what's that do for us? Yeah, Matt?
The other thing is just because you see the sprout or you see the beginning, that just means you have to continue the maintenance and the care.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, all right, well, I'm hands off.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got a little strawberry now. It's all good now. I don't have to water. I can just, no, it continues. And we see the growth, and it encourages us. And that's where I think we have to realize in step with the Spirit. The Spirit knows we're all at different levels, and it's all gradual for all of us at different times. And so it has to be. He also talks about how growth is inevitable, and this one we sometimes look down upon a little bit because we see examples of people where they did not grow. But if the Spirit of Christ is in us and we truly are walking with Him, we will grow. It's kind of like, did your kids ever say growing up, I'm never going to get old. I'm never going to be, when am I going to ever have, I'm never going to turn 16. I'm never going to, I want to be in high school, right? I don't ever get to go with the big kids. I mean, they think it'll never happen. Right? And what do we know as adults that now the years just fly by? It seems like I've definitely noticed that over the years. Now I'm just like these birthdays are coming faster and faster. We know it's inevitable. And what do we need to remind them? You will get there. You'll get there. You're going to have your time. Next year will be here before you know it. 2 years from now, you're going to be the one out there, getting to participate in the high school, whatever. You'll get to go on that trip. It's inevitable if we're cultivating and walking with the Spirit. And I think that's important. He also talks about that growth comes from internal. This is not a program or a plan, or you just read this book and it comes from within. The growth and change comes from inside out. And it's a heart issue that out of the heart comes, Jesus talked about, the good tree and the bad fruit and the eyes. And he talks about all these internal factors that has to be a part of that. And so it grows from internally. It's also symmetrical. Now that's a word that's what do we think about math and geometry? What's something symmetrical? Help me out, some of you guys and folks. Same on both sides. It's, what do we sometimes have to get? One of those little, got a little, what it has in the middle of it? What do they call those? Has a little tube, a little level, yeah. What are you looking for with that? Balance. Hey, this side is, this, you know, and there's some of you, I know some of you, you walk into a room and you're going to see what? First thing you're going to notice, that's a little off. That bookshelf's a little, you know, my brother, middle brother, he's that way. He's just engineer mind, you know. He always, like my grandpa, built things with his hands, always in the shop. My father-in-law was that way. I'm married to the daughter of my father-in-law that she's real good about noticing. If something's just not off, it's just not right, it's off. And as much as we can often say, forget about it, you know. I did that on a few of these banners. we got as close as we could. And at some point, you're at the bottom, one's at the top, and, you know, we're going to pin it there, and how's it look, and okay, and at some point, you're up there, and okay, it's close enough. That's about as good as we're going to get it. And we understand that sometimes, but we got to be careful because when stuff starts getting too much out of balance, that's not good. And you can do that. You can say, what? I'm such a loving, kind person, giving to others, but I may have a temper and what? In other areas of these that I can, it's not enough that I just say, well, I'm the most giving, kind, gracious person, but my temper is terrible in the way I treat people, and I have no, these got to be balanced in our life. And again, we're all growing in these, but the goal is to be symmetrical. And then growth comes from death, and that's where he talks about you crucified. See, that is the key between the flesh and the spirit. We are crucifying ourselves. Now, I don't mean we physically are putting ourselves up and putting nails through us, but we are denying ourselves, dying to the desires that we want, and seeking the things that Christ wants and His will for us. And so that is always the key, is the cross, is what makes the difference. And Paul would say, of course, you know that famous Galatians 2:20, and we got a song we could sing about, but you know these famous familiar words. I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, see, here's how we do this. I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself for me. I'm still living in this flesh. I'm dragging around this unredeemed body until the Lord returns. And then at that time, He's going to transform this body into His image of His glorified body. And it'll be no longer, we'll have those struggles. But until that comes, I've got to be allowing Christ to be crucified. So that means every day, I've got to be thinking about the gospel. Did you know that? Every day, if you're not thinking about some way, some form, the gospel, the life of Jesus, what He does for us, we've got to be reminding ourselves constantly of that truth. I would say when he closes out about not provoking one another, I don't think it just goes into the next chapter. I think it's also connected here. I think it's not a contest. We're not, hey, look at here, I'm over here. I'm Mr. Loving and Mr. Patient and Mr. Joyful, and you're not. I mean, let's not provoke each other in the church. We're all different levels of growth and being patient with each other. And so a couple of questions as we close as you think about this. What are things that hold you back? What are things that hold you back from the fruit God wants to grow in you? You know, that's what hopefully this class has been about, to help us. And what do you need to be doing to keep in step with the Spirit? What are some changes? What are some things you need to add, do more of, do less of? What will help me so that again, it's a cooperation. I'm a gardener. I've got to produce the environment to where God can do His growth in me. And so hopefully this class has helped encourage that, because that's what we want to be as Christians, people who reflect the Lord through His Spirit in us. So, all right, appreciate you guys a lot being here this morning. All right.
Oh.